Trump and Elon are literally trying to start a war with South Africa. And in today's video, we're going to discuss what's really going on. My name is Ambassador Tim Ford Jr. of the African Union AUCS, and I've been living over in East Africa, Tanzania for the past 5 years, and I help my people invest, rebuild, and return over to the continent of Africa. But today, we're going to talk about how Trump is literally provoking and trying to start an economic or some sort of physical war with South Africa. So on January 23rd, 2025, the South African government signed an Expropriation Act, which basically aims to provide a way for the government to purchase property for public purposes or public interest and provide guidelines on how to properly do so. South Africa's Expropriation Act. The Expropriation Act of 2025 replaces the outdated 1975 Expropriation Act, bringing South Africa's land reform policies in line with the constitutional principles. The 1975 Act, drafted during apartheid, was designed to serve state interests with minimal legal protection for affected property owners. It lacked clear definitions of key legal terms, failed to account for socio-economic transformation, and did not outline a structured process for fair compensation. The 2025 Act introduces a transparent expropriation framework that balances land reform with legal safeguards. It clarifies compensation principles, strengthens legal protections, and introduces expropriation without compensation under specific conditions. So Trump really didn't like this too well because I don't know if you guys remember, but during his last presidency, he was very vocal about how he felt things were going on over in South Africa and what he thought was happening with the land and how some of his people were quote unquote being treated in his eyes. And we also have the EFF, which is the Economic Freedom Fighters, ran by Julius Malema, and they've been very vocal about the dissatisfaction on how things have been going on over in South Africa since the apartheid. So even though it's been 3 decades and the white South Africans only make up 7% of the entire population, they still own 70% of the entire country's land. So they've been vocal and talking about how, no, this needs to change. We need to figure out how we can make this right and rectify what's going on. How are these people owning this land in our homeland? So they've been working and trying to advocate and help their people and figure out how they can change things and fix things to be the way that it's supposed to be, because there's no way that 7% of the population should have ownership and majority of the land. I don't care where you are in the world. That's not something that anyone would be okay with. So that's something that they've been vocal about and talking about for many years. And Trump has expressed why he's against that vocally on several platforms and talked about his plans on how to move forward if things continue to go in the way that they were going. And he's been very vocal about spreading the wrong rhetoric and trying to paint a bad image about what's going on over in South Africa ever since his first presidency. In 2018, in his first presidential term, he even alleged saying that South Africans had witnessed large-scale to white farmers. And there ended up being no evidence that actually backed up what he publicly stated to millions of people, trying to paint a bad image of South Africa. So as a result of South Africa passing the Expropriation Act on January 23rd, on February 2nd, Trump responded and said, South Africa is confiscating land and treating certain classes of people very badly. He also said, the United States won't stand for it. We will act, he wrote. Also, I will be cutting off all future funding to South Africa until a full investigation of the situation has been completed. The executive order that Trump subsequently signed on February 2nd claimed that the expropriation law passed in December enables the government of South Africa to seize ethnic minority Afrikaners' agricultural property without compensation. So he's still pushing this narrative that there's something going on over in South Africa and there's people that's having land taken from them and they are being forcibly stolen from and forcibly kicked out of their residence and everything, and also being as well, unfortunately. But the truth is, the South African government has insisted that there has been no forcible confiscation of land, and if any expropriation of land happens, there's a constitutionally mandated legal process that they must follow. And many of the experts around the world have literally criticized Trump for even insinuating that that's what's going on over in South Africa. Experts have criticized attempts to suggest that South Africa's law is in any way similar to Zimbabwe's forcible confiscation of land belonging to white farmers since the 2000s. The South African law bars the arbitrary takeover of land and provides for compensation in most cases. It also requires authorities to first try to reach a reasonable agreement with the landowner, only failing which might the land be expropriated. Land can only be expropriated for public purposes such as to build schools, hospitals, or highways, or for public interest, which includes land reform. More than 3 decades after the end of apartheid, South Africa's minority white community, which constitutes 7% of the population, controls more than 70% of the country's land. So they responded and said, man, we're not doing anything to people. We're just trying to divvy up the land and make sure that we pay people properly and make sure that we handle our business properly over here in South Africa. And the narrative that Trump keeps running with, attempting to paint South Africa in a bad image, is for a particular reason. And I'm going to tell you guys why shortly. Trump's order also provided resettlement in the U.S. for Afrikaners in South Africa who are victims of unjust racial discrimination as refugees. I know you've never heard of the term Afrikaner, so I'm going to explain to you what an Afrikaner is real quick. Afrikaners are mostly white descendants of early Dutch and French settlers who owned the majority of the country's farmland. So these are the formerly enslavers, formerly colonizers of this land, the people who started the apartheid in South Africa. Their descendants, they're inviting them back over to America, so-called Afrikaners, to come back over and giving them status as refugees back over in America. So they've done this several times in history. They even did this to the Nazi and invited them back into the country after the war. And they're trying to invite those type of people back into the environment where our people are, with that type of mindset, with those type of way of doing things. And the so-called racist people that he's trying to take up for and trying to paint this rhetoric about, they will essentially come over to America and add fuel to the fire of the mess that they already have going on and how they treat us as a people over there anyway. Because think about it, if that was the case, if they got thrown out of their land in South Africa and they went over somewhere where they were the majority, they would definitely try to seek revenge on us as a people if they had the opportunity to. So he was inviting them people over. And the craziest part is, this is going to blow you guys' mind. I found research that they admitted to giving our people HI, and they actually have video proof and admitting these things on video that they went over there specifically to do that and was actively doing things to put that into place. And I want y'all to watch this real quick to see who we are dealing with as a people who we invited back over to America as refugees. Now, I wasn't able to show the video due to copyright purposes over here on YouTube, but I'm going to link this video in the description box so you guys can go over and check it out. And I want you to go over to the 1 hour, 30 minute, 16-second mark and watch where they openly admit to actually having clinics in place to actually infect our people with this infectious disease. This is crazy times that we're living in. It's a sad case to see that they actually openly admitted to doing these type of things. So y'all make sure y'all go over there and check this video out. But even though Trump invited them over to the United States of America, they responded with no thanks. No thanks. White South Africans turned down Trump's U.S. immigration offer. Some of them were even quoted saying, if you haven't got any problems here, why would you want to go? Asked Neville van der Merwe, a 78-year-old pensioner in Bathazig near Cape Town. There hasn't been any really bad people taking over our land. The people are carrying on like normal. And you know, what are you going to do over there? Basically, they responded like, man, what? We chilling. Like, what are we going to go over there for? There's not much bad things going on over here. Like he's trying to paint the picture out to be. They're like, what I'm going to go over there and do? I'm here, I'm chilling, we good. There's a strategic reason why Trump is trying to paint this bad image of what's going on in South Africa. And I'm going to tell you guys why. There's a National Security Memorandum 46 that went out in 1978 that gives specific reasonings to why Trump should do the things that he's doing now. And I'm going to read those for you real quick. So this is the National Security Council Memorandum 46, dated March 17th, 1978. Presidential Review Memorandum NSCM 46 to the Secretary of State, the Secretary of Defense, and the Director of Criminal Intelligence. The subject is Black Africa and the U.S. Black Movement. So there's a national security memorandum that specifies what to do and what should happen in the event that South Africa or the Black Americans in America decide to stand up and be vocal about what's going on over in South Africa or in the world. Because if we do that, that is a national security threat for the United States of America. First, we're going to start with the political aspect. If Black African states assume attitudes hostile to the U.S. national interest, our policy towards the white regiments, which is a key element in our relations with the Black states, may be subject by the letter of great pressure for fundamental change. Thus, the West may face a real danger in being deprived of access to the enormous raw material resources of Southern Africa, which are vital for our defense needs, as well as losing control over the Cape Sea routes by which approximately 65% of Middle Eastern oil is supplied to Western Europe. Moreover, such a development may bring about internal political difficulties by intensifying the activity of the Black movement in the United States itself. So basically, they need to keep their hold on the resources and make sure that they have control over what's going on over in South Africa. Now, if 7% of the population are white farm owners, a large amount of resources that they're getting from South Africa, and the farmers that are over in South Africa are white like them, I'm sure that the price is very, very cheap. I'm sure it's not a fair wage. I'm sure they're getting a huge discount on what they're paying for as they export things from South Africa. So while they're exporting things, they need the people that's owning these plots of lands over here, the farmland that's over in South Africa, to be in place that will give them favorable advantages when they're trying to make deals over here in South Africa. Let's discuss the economic aspect. Black Africa is increasingly becoming an outlet for U.S. exports and investment. The mineral resources of the area continue to be of great value for the normal functioning of industry in the United States and allied countries. In 1977, U.S. direct investments in Black Africa totaled about $1.8 billion and exports $2.2 billion. New prospects of what substantial profits will continue to develop in the countries concerned. So that was in 1977. They were making billions of dollars then. So just imagine how much they are actually making now. Now let's discuss what they spoke about in reference to Black Africa and the U.S. Black movement. Apart from the above mentioned factors, adverse to U.S. strategic interests, the nationalist liberation movement in Black Africa can act as a catalyst with far-reaching effects on the American Black community by stimulating its organizational consolidation and by inducting radical actions. Such a result would be likely as Zaire went the way of Angola and Mozambique. An occurrence of the events of 1967 through 68 would do grievous harm to U.S. prestige, especially in view of the concern of the present administration with human rights issues. Moreover, the administration would have to take specific steps to stabilize the situation. Such steps might be misunderstood both inside and outside the United States. In order to prevent such a trend and protect U.S. national security interests, it would appear essential to elaborate and carry out effective countermeasures. So they have to paint what South Africa doing as a bad image to the people in America. They have to scare the people in America. They have to make you fearful of standing up and fearful of trying to get your resources for yourself, trying to mobilize, trying to actually do what South Africa is doing, because they don't want that to happen over in America. They don't want the people to wake up and say, hey, we can do what South Africa is doing. And they also don't want to lose the resources. So they're trying to say, hey guys, stop. They're trying to bully South Africa and make them stop what they're doing and put their country in the right way that they see that it should be. So this is a move that America has been doing for centuries. I mean, they've been just bullying people, trying to make them say, do this, do that, because we say so. But now times are changing, and South Africa had a response that's going to blow your mind. So I hope you're ready. But before we discuss South Africa's response, I want to talk about how, because Trump has been putting out false accusations, saying crazy things on the internet, and trying to paint South Africa in this bad image, Elon had the nerve to disrespectfully tweet at the president of South Africa. A day after Trump's initial comments, when South African President Cyril Ramaphosa defended the land law on X, Musk, the richest man in the world, responded, "Why do you have openly racist laws?" But not only that, recently an old clip of EFF leader Julius Malema making comments about cutting the throat of whiteness. And after he saw that, he retweeted it and responded and said, "Immediate sanctions for Malema and declaration of him as an international criminal." And Julius Malema responded and said, "I really think you have entirely lost your left brain. A typical spoiled brat and direct beneficiary of apartheid whiteness. I know black people look the same to you, typical racists. Look closer and you will realize those are two different people. America is exposing us to its stupidity. I don't care about your sanctions. I will never stop fighting for black people to be equal to white people. And if that makes me an international criminal, I am proud to be one." So he responded with, "Bro, I don't care about your sanction. If me standing up for my people is coming against you and you saying something is bad, I'm cool with that because I'm still standing up for my people." So he's still standing strong on his post, like, man, I don't care what y'all talking about. This is wrong. We still standing strong and we still advocating and pushing forward towards our people. And in response to Elon claiming that he would declare Julius Malema as an international criminal, the EFF responded with this. EFF statement on Elon Musk called for CIC Julius Malema to be declared an international criminal. Sunday, February 9th, 2025. The economic freedom fighters is not fazed by the declaration made by owner of X, formerly known as Twitter, SpaceX, Starlink, Tesla, and recently the so-called director for the Department of Government Efficiency, Dodge, in the United States of America, who has made a declaration that the president of the EFF, Julius Malema, must be declared an international criminal. As part of the general hysteria that has overtaken governance in the United States of America, Musk has assumed the role of a global billionaire maniac whose grotesque wealth has overwhelmed him and made him think of himself as a supreme ruler of not only the Oval Office, but of all nations of the world. The commander-in-chief and president of the EFF has been at the forefront of struggles for the African continent and the diaspora since his activism as a young person in the former liberation movement of South Africa. Central to his perspective, not only on economic freedom and the emancipation of African people, has been a staunch opposition to Western imperialism and all of its manifestations. It is therefore not surprising that Julius Malema would be declared an enemy by the global capitalist establishment, an agenda advanced by the likes of deranged individuals such as Elon Musk. However, the misconception and the mischaracterization of the president of the EFF as a genocidal is a sideshow that seeks to undermine the ideas which he represents. The EFF and all people who have been at the yoke of oppression perpetrated by the USA and its allies are bound to naturally be the quintessential enemies of billionaires who capture states and manipulate narratives and misuse their control of governments to cast aspersions against their natural enemies. The EFF takes this opportunity to tell Elon Musk and all of his allies in the US and Israel and the right-wing groups in South Africa which have mobilized Musk to collectively go to hell. The principle remains that equally in South Africa is rooted in the return of the land to African people, and this will be achieved through expropriation without compensation. Additionally, the EFF makes a firm commitment that Elon Musk Starlink will never operate in South Africa without complying to local legislation, which demands that there must be 30% local ownership. The offense that Musk has been against the leader of the EFF constitutes a meddling in our domestic affairs, which we do not take lightly, and he must be viewed as an imperialist who seeks to undermine the economic and political sovereignty of South Africa through sanctions, and is part of the mischievous attempts to sever relationships between South Africa and the United States of America. The EFF declared Elon Musk as an enemy of South Africa and a capturer of governance in the USA, who will lead to the nation's downfall. All progressive nations, including Russia, China, India, and all African states, ought to isolate and reject all enterprises pursued by Elon Musk in their nations. Elon Musk has captured the presidency of the USA and has weaponized his office as an instrument to pursue his business interests globally. His nefarious influence must be opposed and undermined by all nations which respect their sovereignty and seek to maintain independence. The EFF will not be cowed into submission, retreat, nor capitulation from its principled and unwavering commitment to confront imperialism and its surrogates like Elon Musk anywhere and everywhere it rises its ugly head. Issued by the Economic Freedom Fighters. So they basically responded like, man, we don't care what you're talking about. We still standing strong, and you wrong for actually trying to use your platform to imply that we're doing something nefarious when we are really in actuality trying to help our people and build back up our nation. So they didn't take that lightly. And they basically responded with, hey, telling the whole world, like, don't get tied in with this man. Don't get entwined with what he has going on. Don't fall for his games. Stay focused and don't get caught up in what he's talking about. We're not like that. We're trying to do good business and help our people. Since we're here, got to show y'all some of the products real quick. This natural body baby. Natural body. Yeah. Natural product. Natural body. Yeah. Natural body. Yeah. Say. Yeah. Come closer. Come. But remember earlier I spoke about how the South African government responded to Trump's executive order. So in response to Trump signing the executive order, which essentially froze aid that would be going to South Africa, the South African government, in a bold and unprecedented move, officially suspended all American businesses that were within South Africa's territory and halted all mineral exports. And they also said if he thinks that we are beggars, then he should go and look for his minerals elsewhere, because Africa is tired of the disrespect and the disregard that they keep receiving from the Western world. They even said Africa is not a beggar continent, said a spokesperson for the South African government. We will no longer be taken for granted. If the U.S. thinks it can just cut off funding and expect us to come crawling back, they are sadly mistaken. The move is expected to have significant economic implications for both countries. The U.S. makes over $25 billion in profits from South Africa annually, and the suspension of American businesses and mineral exports will undoubtedly hit the U.S. economy hard. So they responded with, hey, since you want to play games, since you want to cut off aid, since you don't want to help anymore, well, give us our minerals. You can't get any of our minerals, and any one of your people that has a business in place over here in our country, they can't even operate their business anymore because of how you're moving. So I'm sure he was not expecting this response from the South African government, but they showed that they are not continuing to be disrespected and continuing to be treated like they are less than in an S-hole continent, like he said a few years ago. I know y'all remember that comment that he made that, oh, Africa is just an S-hole continent. Even he said country or continent, but I remember he said S-hole. So he has that mindset. So they are letting him know we are not going to continue to take this disrespect and tolerate how you keep treating us as a people. So if you want to come over here and do business, come with some respect, come and talk to us with some respect and decency, and we can move forward. But other than that, let's halt what we're doing. Guys, it's a new day. It's a new time. South Africa is standing up. I'm excited to hear what you guys think about what is going on over in South Africa right now. Please let me know in the comment box what you think. And do you think the U.S. will begin giving aid back to South Africa in order to have access to the minerals again? Let me know what you guys think. Do you think it's just going to be a bad relationship? They're not going to be able to get cool again? Let me know what you think in the comment box. And if you over here on the continent of Africa, let me know which country you are in and where you watching us from and what you think about what's going on over in South Africa. I'm excited to see where my people are and how we can come together and what we can do if we form and communicate with each other on a grand level. So yeah, let me know in the comment box where y'all are, okay? And if you're thinking about coming over to the continent of Africa, I have a free document that entails everything you must know before you decide to come over here so that you can have the right mindset and the right vision on how you can move forward. So if you're interested in getting that free document, please click the link in my description box and join me on my newsletter, and you'll be sent the email directly to your inbox and you'll receive it, okay? And also, we have a free course for those who are interested in coming over here. So it's a free detailed course that will give you everything you need to know to have the right perspective and mindset. So when you do decide to come over here, you're in a good position and you figured out how you need to move and get your work done. So if you're interested in getting a free course, click the link in the description box and sign up right now so that you can join the free course. And also, if you're interested in coming over to the continent of Africa, I offer consultations for those who are interested. So if you need help with trying to figure out how to come over here, click the link in the description box. We offer consultations, and we have Swahili courses as well for those who are interested in learning Swahili, so that when they do decide to come over here, they got it figured out. So click the link if you're interested in getting that, all right? Now, if you made it to the end of the video, thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. I hope this video was able to bring you some value and you understand what's going on with Elon, Trump, and South Africa right now. It's a good time to be alive. We standing up as a people. We understanding our rights and we understanding how we could mobilize and be strong and bold during these times. So, hey, don't forget to let me know what you think in the comment box and make sure y'all be safe out there and don't let these people take y'all shalom peace, all right? Y'all stay safe. Shalom.